Every single business, whether you're in the services business, whether you're in the product, every single business needs to be productized. That's what everyone needs to understand. If you're a lawyer, you need to productize. If you're an accountant, you need to productize.
What does that mean? Continue.
What that means is this. Banks in and themselves are services businesses. But to a consumer doesn't buy service. You can't scale, or rather, no. A consumer buys service, but you can't scale services. Why? Because services are limited to an individual who then has key expertise. The more and more he grows those expertise, then he's able to be paid more. But the paying more is limited to the amount of time he can give. Which is why now you've got different banking products. You've got a black, you've got a gold, you've got a student, you've got a platinum, you've got a wealth. What that then did is it productized a service. So it then becomes important for you to be able to productize the service that you offer. You know, whether it's, the services have now evolved from accounting to whatever, to social media, to influencing, to whatever the case is. You need to productize them. What productizing does is, it says, if I'm a speaker, which I am, and my voice burns, I'm still able to have a layer of productizing that is able to be bought by the consumers. So I'm evolving and I'm adding layers to the products, to my services in the form of actual products that people can consume in real time anywhere in the world and anywhere in time. So what we then do as entrepreneurs, we make the mistake of saying, because you started the business, you are the only one who can do what you do. But that's limited or capped knowledge. By capped, it's capped knowledge. And what you should be doing is say, build systems and processes. But systems and processes are a big word. How do you simplify that? Over a 7 or 14-day period, what do you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep as a business owner? Whether it's business related or personal related. At the end of that cycle, on the 8th day, you've decided to do 7, or the 15th day, if you decided to do 14. Map out, go back to that ledger and map out every single thing that you did. And ask yourself 3 things. What is it that I did in there that was technical? Technical means it's anything that can be done by a third party, doesn't need any special skills, as long as you give someone a manual to be able to do what you've done here. So you've got this shop that is beautifully rigged. You should be able to have a manual that says, this is how this shop is rigged, so that anywhere you go in the country, even if you are not there, someone needs to be able to have a manual with picture references to rig that shop on the first day of working for you. And that's what systemizing is. Systemized systems and processes saying to someone, if I go open the newspaper on a Monday and I buy it the Sunday before, and I make sure I buy it the Sunday before at 6 a.m. because they ran out at 8, and I make sure that on Tuesday I read out all the jobs that are related to these key industries, and I look out for the closing dates, and I look out for the whatever numbers, and I look out for, is there compulsory briefings? Those are the things I look out for. I could write that in a one-pager, give it to someone, or give it even to my sister and brother and ask them to articulate it. The challenge that we experience that caps our growth is the fact that we are unable to clearly communicate to the next person what we actually expect and want from them. And what that then creates is a morphed communication. Now, I'll make an example. This is very important to brand development. How many people or how many businesses do you know of where one of their values is integrity?
Integrity, all of them.
Everyone. If the one common value is integrity, but let me do this. If you ask 5 employees that work for that one business, and if there were 4 business or 2 business partners, and they had 2 employees, not a lot, and you asked all of them what integrity means to them, all of them would give you individual answers. That's how you know you've got a terrible, terrible, terrible value structure. And that's how you know that they won't be able to guarantee the correct output of what it actually means for that business. Because the first thing that you do is, and I used to love ladies back in the day when we were growing up, they'd say,
you don't love them anymore?
No, I don't. No, I do. So they'd say, I'd never date witness because I've got standards. How many people have ever heard someone say something like that? Yo, imagine dating witness. Yo, I'd never date witness because I've got standards. My standards are too high. But she won't even be able to tell you what those standards are.
Yeah.
So the best way to measure out values, whether you're in business or in your personal life, is to do this. Define the value that most resonates with you. So in this case, integrity.
Sure.
And then do your one-line definition. What does integrity mean to me? So integrity means to me is doing what you said you would do when you said you would do it, right? But that's still too vague. What are the 3 or 4 steps for us to measure as a business what integrity is? Number 1, and this is across the board. If you're a designer, for instance, and you are working for me, at the time I had a lot of designers working for me. The number one demonstration of working in integrity, did you fill in the client brief? Number 2, did you get the client to fill in the client brief? Number 3, did you demonstrate that you understand? And how we measured demonstration was, you said you understood, then you got a team member, doesn't matter who they were, you explained what the client was looking for, and they confirmed that they understood, and they signed on it. And then number 4, you added a wow effect. And how we measure the wow effect is, you delivered design output, but you added a layer that was conversational and got people talking about it. And the easiest way to measure that is you created it, and then you rally team members around to then give their output. If their output was, wow, or this is great, we've never seen this before, then you have met the brief. Then it's measurable across the board. Then to the driver that I hire, it's the exact same thing. If you're going to go out today and then make pickups and deliveries, number 1, have you understood the brief of where you need to go? Number 2, is it signed for? So it's easy for you to sit down with someone and say you were wrong, and also be able to tell them how they were wrong. It's also easy to pick up where the breakages are within your business. So systemization is very powerful, but it's also then what leads to that exponential growth. Yeah. Because you can be here seated on this chair, but books are sold online or a platform, and other things are happening transactionally behind you. It needs you, but it doesn't need you at that moment. It needs your oversight, and let's not also create the misunderstanding that says you'll put your business on autopilot. So whenever I meet up with my mentor, he asks me 4 questions. So how much? So these are the questions in this order. Hi, how are you? No, how many sales have you made to date? Number 1. Number 2, what is your sales pay? What is the value of the sales pipeline? Number 3, what is the value of your prospects? Number 4, what have you invoiced? And he says, if you can't answer those on any given moment, then you have no business. Because you need to be able to know, what you're prospecting, what you're leading, what your team is quoting. And what that then does is that it drives you further into understanding your systems. What are your systems? Yeah. You need to be able to have systems.
So, but at what point did that turning point happen in your entrepreneurial journey, where you were this young person that started out, didn't even have any education, started with an internet cafe, went into printing, then went into branding? At what point did the turning point take place where you felt like now you are a full-on entrepreneur who can also start an organization that now empowers other entrepreneurs to have these things that you're talking about?
I have to give them their flowers, right? It was Racecorp. Because when I was at Racecorp, which is an incubator, I learned information I didn't. And just to quantify this, we start businesses, we start anything in life, friendships, relationships, whatever. We start them according to the level of our education, the level of our knowledge, the level of our exposure. And exposure could be broken down into a myriad of different things. It's the TV programs you watch, it's the books you consume, it's the people you hang around with, it's the places you go to. Because you can't start what you don't know. You can only start what you're exposed to or what you know. And that exposure comes through those 3 things. So it makes sense why I started an internet cafe then, because there were 7 of them in the community at the time. Over and above 7, there were other hair salons. There was a tuck shop. There were other car washes, but I just chose this one.
Tuck shop, not been night. Tuck shop.
You see?